25 China J-16 jets surround Taiwan border after shoot-down PLA jets. Beijing has committed its biggest breach of Taiwan's airspace in a year with military jets, as experts warn the South China Sea conflict is becoming increasingly aggressive. China sending 25 military jets over Taiwan's defense zone on Monday marked its largest such incursion in the time period. Taiwan's defense ministry launched its own jets to broadcast warnings back to the Chinese aircraft. It breached the much smaller island nation's airspace for the 10th day in a row. Taiwan said the Chinese aircraft, including 18 fighters, entered its Southwest Air Defense Identification Zone. They claimed 14 J-16 fighter jets, 4 J-10s, 4 H-6K bombers, 2 Y-8 anti-submarine warfare planes and 1 gege-500 airborne early warning and control aircraft were sent overhead. The Defense Ministry explained their Air Force sent its air patrol force to shadow them, issued radio warnings and deployed missiles to monitor their movements. The incursion marks the largest breach of Taiwan's airspace by China since the island's defense ministry began publicly reporting People's Liberation Army (PLA) aircraft. On Friday, 11 Chinese aircraft, including 8 fighter jets, entered Taiwan's airspace. Beijing blamed the U.S. on Thursday for its tensions with Taiwan, saying American warships inflame the risk of conflict. They also mocked the U.S. and asked whether Chinese ships should sail in the Gulf of Mexico as a show of strength. Last week, Beijing said an aircraft carrier group was exercising close to Taiwan after a U.S. warship sailed through the Taiwan Strait, which separates the island from mainland China.
Well, for all of us, it's kind of daunting because we're so out of practice. Most of us have been out of school for a long time coming out of RCOH. The last test was basically 2 parts. One was for calibrating the gun for high rates of fire, and the second part was to calibrate it for low rate of fire, which is basically it's throughout the fleet. It's the CWIS pack fire. So CWIS shoots about 4,500 rounds per minute. Shoots 20mm rounds.
A griffin is a mythological creature that was typically used to guard something precious like treasure or whatever, and it was a combination of other different animals. So we've taken the best parts of other aircraft and combined it into our own MH-60 Romeo, and we use it to guard something equally precious, the carrier strike group. So we have two primary missions. Our first primary mission is anti-submarine warfare, and our second is surface warfare. Anti-submarine warfare is to protect the carrier strike group from potentially hostile submarines, and surface warfare is to provide the carrier with that big picture situational awareness. So if something gets close to the strike group, they need to be ID'd, they need to be tracked. That's what we do. We provide all of that information to the Combat Operations Center. Some of the secondary missions would include search and rescue, could include humanitarian relief, general helicopter operations. So typically we'll fly with a crew of 3. There are 2 pilots up front. One is acting as the helicopter aircraft commander, and the other is acting as the pilot. I sit in the back as the 3rd member of the crew, the sensor operator. I run the eyes and ears of the MH-60 Romeo. This job has its boring days, just like anything else. We'll fly out to do an open water search and discover that there's nothing out there but water. But then again, it also has its days where there's a little bit too much going on.